Thanks for putting up with the wait, everyone. I decided to group up my Disventure Camp episode 5 and 6 reviews, all for the sake of not repeating myself. Therefore, you all are going to get a much more densely packed review, as there are plenty of characters who have changed for the better. This season is hitting a greater stride than ever despite my personal bitterness towards losing Ted. But before we jump into things, I want to shamelessly self-promote my Total Drama character ranking poll. In the comments, I'll link a video which will explain the rules towards figuring out what my audience's favorite and least favorite Total Drama characters are across the entire show. We're ever so close to 1,000 submissions, so please give it the light of day. Okay, back to Disventure. Episode 5 consisted of corn maze basketball, and episode 6 is our obligatory musical, which I guess will be a tradition going forward. But yeah, I'm a classic world tour dick rider, so I'm of the stubborn but passionate belief that musicals make everything better. If Disventure had an entire musical season, I'd be head over heels even if the wish is as unrealistic as it is. That aside, the basketball challenge was relatively simple but still managed to give us unique opportunities for characters to give different strategies. For instance, Richard. He was balling. I like that. He pretty much carried his team as a former prodigy, which amps him up as less of an underdog than originally perceived. If there was one small disappointment, I feel like his dynamic with Linda took a bit too much of a backseat for my liking, especially when it was one of my favorite aspects of Ted's death. But what we got in exchange didn't disappoint me at all. Did it surprise any of you guys how quick Richard caved in and forgave Logan? Cause it sure as hell caught me off guard. Well, you're in luck, because this seemingly jarring shift is now conceptualized better than ever, with the obvious in retrospect realization that Richard recognizes Logan as an Olympian. A twist like this, after the preconceived notion of Richard's already existing characterization, is a risky writing tactic to pull, but Odd Nations pulled it off spectacularly. It was a perfectly paced trickle of information to show off Richard's game plan and choice of allies. Since what did Richard and Logan have beforehand? Laughing at Ted's ass? This is now one of the most realized duos in the entire cast, and Richard just skyrocketed up in personal likeness. All because of the way he was paced and compliments of his personality. I love him. On the contrary, I find it harder and harder to get invested in Marissa. She feels bad towards Linda, which can only get her character so far from a strategic standpoint. In all honesty, Marissa's challenge choreography is probably the best way she's been characterized when it comes to playing the game, and that was like a 5-second clip at best. And it's not like the emotional aspect of her character is all that special either. She takes the pressure of being a leader without the confidence to back her up, which is somewhat of an interesting idea on paper, but has so far only been used for Anastasia to go, "Oh, it's okay," which is a little too cookie-cutter for Marissa's side of the story in my opinion. It's great for Anastasia though. I love how she clearly has that feminist background that defines her character in unique ways, such as clinging on to the contestant who sees her as an individual. She's super endearing with a cutthroat attitude to back her up strategically and comedically. She's great, and I don't want to give off the impression that Marissa's dragging her down.
If faking this girl power mentality lets me stay in the game longer, I'm darn well taking it.
Linda's main conflict across these two episodes is focused on the Girls' Alliance, and acting as the cast's biggest train wreck of a competitor. She's once again an idiot about Logan, and that's really funny. Logan definitely needs to face some sort of adversity if we're gonna make up for Richard's quick-to-forgive nature. Linda also plays off of Marissa's doubts on abandoning the Girls' Alliance, which while I don't think does amazingly to characterize Marissa, I love it for the sake of Linda staying around for a little longer. I'm also a fan of her playing up some sense of fake girl power, which we can already infer won't work out amazingly since the team's overdue for a girl getting killed over a guy. But circling around to Linda's uneasiness with Logan, him overcompensating his challenge hustle after being an idiot was good. Logan's keeping his cool overall, and that's interesting to see play out. Going forward, it seems like his struggle at making amends with Linda is getting consistently highlighted as a teaser for what's to come, with the notion that everything's gonna bubble up later. I'm excited and can confidently give Logan's S-tier privileges back to him. So, can I just be Isabel's #1 fan? Have I proved myself worthy enough of that title? God, I'm so excited, because we're edging so close to her big idol play. I just know it. I'm like a goddamn gigolo, ready to burst. I'm hoping it's soon because in my opinion, Isabel is on the verge of becoming stretched too thin as a character if her existing dynamics stay static for much longer, which is my way of saying her MO is still trying to induce paranoia within the Girls' Alliance in the hopes of eventually spearheading a vote. Don't get me wrong though, it's a great and compelling bite-sized strategy to ease us into her play. We gotta get spoon-fed our vegetables before having dessert. Jesus said that once. I'm trying to say that there's only so much we can see of her existing plan before getting bored. We haven't hit that border yet, so I'm still having fun.
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. Hell yeah! Thank you, Lord.
I'm sad that her and Logan alongside Natalia aren't immediately a trio like I predicted, but this is still a fun way to place her into the main bit of drama on that team. And it's not like these theories are completely off the table just yet. That aside, take a look at this.
SOS, SOS! This is not good. Marissa's too forgiving and Linda is clearly still holding her grudges. I may need to make a move sooner than originally planned.
There is so much to unpack from that confessional. She points out Marissa's odd placement within the team's hierarchy. She restates my previous notion that the idol play will be sooner rather than later. And the most interesting part, in my opinion, is her ability to immediately see through Linda's bull hockey. And the self-awareness of the Girls' Alliance being a sinking ship then narratively places her with Logan and Richard. This is the kind of brain cell combination I was waiting for. All three of them have some type of weird chaotic energy in their own special way that is not only engaging, but is actively helpful in getting Isabel eased into making her grand play thanks to this temporary kinship. Since Richard already stated his interest in getting one of the girls to flip, Isabel might have more in common with Richard and Logan than she thinks. I wouldn't say I have a very good track record with theories, but fuck you, let's make another one. Isabel wants to make a strategic play soon. Logan and Richard want one of the girls to flip. Natalia comes up to the two of them at the end of episode 6 regarding Linda, which hey, it means I was wrong about Natalia. She's actually gonna start doing stuff in the context of Logan. Good for you. Anyways, Natalia's closest friend is Isabel. Connect the dots. Natalia, Logan, Richard, and Isabel I propose are the blue team's next biggest alliance going forward. Linda might be tacked on, or the alliance's biggest enemy depending on what Natalia has to say in context of her, but I can't be certain. Loving the Isabel art, by the way. Hopefully in one of the next reviews I can add something of my own if I'm not too busy. We'll have to wait and see. If Linda's the most out-of-place contestant on her team, the other team's foil in that regard is Benji. And okay, fine. I like Benji now. I still think his immunity idol joke went on for way too long.
Hi, Trevor and Derek. I'm Benji. And look, I have an idol. I'd like to play it for, myself.
Yes, I was going to do exactly that.
Okay, that was sort of funny. But still, a few good line deliveries won't save us from the biggest weakness any joke has. That weakness is the writers thinking they're way funnier than they actually are. But now I'm just being an asshole. I just said I liked Benji. He exists as a surprising foil to everyone's preconceived notions, that being an obvious next target who's consistently squeaking by relatively unharmed. And I never thought I'd say this, but Hannah's best duo going forward is somehow Benji, because she and Diego didn't interest me that much.
You know, after the first week of sob stories, it gets old. Trust me.
You complain about sob stories, yet had a sob story to find you all last episode. Come on, Hannah. The inherent novelty of Hannah losing all of her allies back to back is a very funny concept, because like I said, now she's grouped up with Benji. I don't have much to add though. Hannah herself doesn't have much to piss me off about, which is good, but also she didn't get that much of a spotlight other than serving as an alright foil to the Diego vote, and also talking to Tristan. But yeah, her friendship with Diego definitely didn't sell me, but I liked how it served the narrative at least. If there was one character who improved more than anyone else within the lineup, it's Ivy. The way she carries herself is so fucking unique. I need to unpack everything to portray why I love her. Starting things off, She pushes down her interest in Jade in a way that's super different from Spencer, in the aspect of keeping her own demeanor in tip-top shape despite a clear romantic interest. It's even visualized with Ivy clenching her fist. They're showing alongside telling. The way Ivy and Jade are being formatted gives the plotline more room for different dynamics to go on, since we won't have to spend as much time in a will they won't they, due to her ability to keep some sense of composure before getting focused moments of finally breaking. This works in spite of how long their story could go on, meaning it's much less of a drag overall. Strategically, Ivy acted as the Diego vote's deciding factor. Flipping her own trio thanks to Spencer's meddling was so fun as a last-minute twist. Yes, I understand she didn't do that much at the end of the day besides accepting Spencer's offer to get rid of Diego, but still, I love seeing Ivy hype up her own play.
Diego's out, Spencer owes us, and Jade still needs us. Look at us controlling the votes again! God, it's so exciting to start making moves!
She's in it for the love of the game, and I find that so much more compelling than something akin to a mustache-twirling villain. That's what got me behind the decision. Seriously, her enthusiasm is so contagious. It's the sheer lovable spunk after having everything go your way in a vote. I've seen people say this is annoying. Yeah, I'm the exact opposite, and without this reaction I probably wouldn't be sold on Ivy as a whole. The strategy didn't need to be imposing. She just wants to see the game play out and rub that demeanor off on others, with a type of charisma we haven't seen from anyone else in the game so far. It's just a fun, quirky aspect of her character that leaves me wanting more. On top of that, Ivy's flaws are highlighted immediately afterwards in reaction to how hyped she is for the musical, which introduces just how tone-deaf Ivy is, and I find that so compelling. I love how her delivery of putting down Jade doesn't come from inherent snootiness or a rotten personality, but sheer objectivity. It's like she can't imagine any other perspective than her pulling all the shots. It almost reminds me of a certain other character I'm known for loving, and kinda acts as the channel's unofficial mascot. I can't put my finger on who. Regardless, to me, this unique take on conflict keeps her fun and lovable while still causing strife in the challenge. And when I say strife, I mean strife. Ivy completely fucked up her end of the challenge, and that was quite funny. She got lost in the sauce of making her perfect love story, and it shows how hollow Ivy can come off as when it comes down to the wire. The aftermath of Ivy beating herself up is done in a much more compelling way than your average Disventure character, just from the sheer over-exaggeration from an animation, voice acting, and logic perspective. Cause come on, she got a pretty good score, yet still can't stomach anything less than a 10. It characterizes and caricaturizes her, if that makes sense. Sometimes I feel like I say shit for the sake of it, but the point is, she's flawed without going too far down the villainous path, and I like that. Even after all this praise I'm giving Ivy, I still feel like I'm not being coherent enough, cause I'm just throwing around vague words like demeanor, enthusiasm, and charisma, and hoping you guys are able to connect the dots yourself. Because really, the reason I love Ivy are a combination of all of these base character traits which are amplified thanks to the delivery and how it plays off of others. Even when her plotline is kind of simple, she is so close to being on the same level as Isabel and Logan when it comes to my personal enjoyment, but I'll hold off judgment overall until I can confirm I'm a fan of the direction her plotline is going. Right now its main focus is further bringing development towards her romance with Jade. Right now Jade's taking the backseat in exchange for Ivy being in the spotlight, and I hope it doesn't stay that way. Tristan, on the other hand, is acting as your stereotypical third wheel. And while yes, I do believe this is good for Tristan's growth as a character, it did feel a little too slow-paced, awkward, and kinda stereotypical for me to immediately be pulled in. I vibe with the fact that they're getting more people to talk with, such as Hannah and Benji, but right now this turmoil hasn't proven itself to leave a compelling conflict within the ongoing story that I can clearly picture or theorize about. So right now I just need to wait and see what this plotline could bring. It is Tristan after all. It's not like they can be horrible. I'm surprised I'm saying this as soon as I am, but Jade's kinda growing on me. I don't love her, but I don't know. I found myself a lot more favorable to Jade overall, and specifically these last 2 episodes. A lot of Jade's blunt deliveries are able to stand out more than usual. Jade and Spencer are quickly falling apart, and her pure strategic mindset is getting challenged, which plays off the vote quite well. Specifically Spencer asking for a favor and getting rid of Diego for their own abilities as an alliance, and Jade not reciprocating. I like that you can kind of see both sides of the picture in this turmoil. Cause yeah, Spencer needs him gone if he wants to go for a super serious all-strategy type of gameplay, but also it is almost objectively a stupid decision for everyone else in the competition, which characterizes Jade as someone who won't carry anyone else's dead weight. To summarize, her dry delivery is being complemented by a newly unraveled Spencer, making her straight man archetype more compelling with someone unpredictable to bounce off of. And Jade is very upfront about not being happy with Spencer, cause now he's more of a chore boy than an actual partner. That was a very funny outcome. And hell, Jade's even getting other people to bounce off of as well, in an attempt to be more open with others now that the game isn't going as perceived. Her interactions with Benji were kinda cute. Jade's on the right track to becoming a very well realized character. But like I said, the summary of episode 5's vote is Spencer thinking with his heart first. He works behind Jade's back to kill Diego for the sake of his own gameplay going forward. I love the play for Spencer and Ivy's current and future characterizations, and it bounces off of Jade better than anything else she got beforehand. Overall, Diego and Spencer is a pretty generic will they won't they, and cutting them as a duo early was probably the right decision. There isn't that much to describe in retrospect to the actual vote because it does feel like the same scenes over and over. Both of them questioning their own hearts, bringing commentary on their differences, which then leads to Hannah encouraging Diego to be honest, fucking him over. I kinda oversold how much I would like Diego in the early game, cause I thought his simple passions in life would complement a greater story. But now that we likely know his whole arc, Diego's kinda whatever to me. I'm cool with it though. There was just enough lighthearted moments to keep Diego afloat for me personally. For instance, I like how he takes his elimination in stride. Inherently, Diego's more of a plot device, but that's okay for the story. I love Axel. He thinks with his heart first and Spencer doesn't. That's cool. Okay, I pretty much covered every character I feel necessary to talk about, so no better time like now to discuss what made episode 6 as fun as it was, the songs. Genuinely, if this episode was shit but the songs remained unchanged, I'd still praise it to no end. That's how much of an unfair bias I have towards musicals. Props to the voice actors for all having pretty respectable singing voices. There are some very clear highlights, but nobody feels out of place as a bad singer in my opinion. The song that hyped me up most should predictably be Captivated. I love how well Logan's proposed all of the above strategy played out. Him and Richard's melodies complement each other super well.
I'm captivated by another dimension. I've never felt this way before.
And let's not forget Isabel. She was phenomenal as the song's centerpiece.
My soul's awakened. Energy, I can't contain it. Life has been invigorated in total surrender.
And look at the two best characters paired together. That's so hype. When I say that each member of this temporary trio brought their own brand of crazy, this is what I mean. Somehow the Christian rock alt combo worked in their favor, even if the judges were a little harsh. If I had one complaint, the song ended a little too abruptly for my taste, but that's about it. I Don't Care is the next song, and you can immediately see the clear goth aesthetic going on. Also, this is unscripted, but I saw the Donkey Kong Country show comparison on another channel, and now I can't get that out of my head, and that makes it even better to me. But holy fuck, all four of them have amazing vocals. Literally, it's impossible for me to think up which one of them is my favorite singer of the bunch. But if I had to pick a favorite part, it's definitely Jade getting pushed out of her shell by the very end. I have no clue if that was intentional, but that's how I interpreted it for the show's favor.
So turn up my song, feel free to stay. I don't care.
I think Tristan's lighter vocal delivery for the song really complements their current story of feeling inadequate, and overall attempts to brush that turmoil aside.
Tell me I'm weird, tell me I'll never get it.
Benji's singing voice genuinely makes me believe this is a completely different character for a second. When Benji locks in, he really locks the fuck in. And hey, even if I'm open about not liking Hannah, her infectious delivery still amps me up a ton. On My Way is definitely my least favorite of the bunch, but it's still pretty cool. Marissa's probably my favorite singer of this group, and I'm also impressed with how well Linda's able to sing when her VA is putting on the most apparent cartoony voice in the entire cast.
When I look at the sun going down to other sky,
I've been stuck inside my house too long. Can't stand being all alone.
There's more dance choreography than anything, which is hard to make stand out due to the show's animation style. But I still did like the song and visuals. This Blue Moon reminds me of Princess Courtney's Song from Action in the best possible way. I love how Spencer's just a tacked on part of Ivy's questionable leadership.
From the highest mountain to the deepest well.
This is genuinely one of my favorite visual gags the show has ever done. Make fun of Ivy all you want, but it was all for the sake of giving this song the greatest showmanship of the four. I can say that confidently. Ivy's VA was able to deliver high notes that rival Courtney, and the song did a great job at further emphasizing Ivy's strengths and weaknesses. Most of this is about Ivy, and that's certainly Ivy's intent when directing this song, so she did her job perfectly.
I swear.
All in all, that was an above average batch of episodes for the show. They could have dropped the ball heavily on Diego and Spencer, but still managed to leave Diego off in at least a relatively neutral state. The biggest improvements this time around were for sure Ivy and Richard, but genuinely, every character gets a little better with each subsequent installment, except for Diego, who slowly got worse, and to some extent Hannah, who had a pretty steep hole and only just recently got out of it. But regardless, remember to brush your teeth and eat your vegetables. I love you all and good night.
Look, all that noise, call that flight of the water boys. Meet and greet and they all slept five. Cheek to cheek when they colonize. And a grown-ass man shall abide as he wish. Walk that path with a diamond and stick. Walk that path with a diamond and wine. Walk that path with a firing line. Just walk.